Hey everyone, it's Sarah, the elder millennial.
And this is Bill, the infant boomer. Welcome to Strengths on Fire, the podcast for strengths enthusiasts who want to have fun while leveling up.
Get ready for a mix of powerful insights, unexpected stories, and plenty of laughs along the way. Hey Bill, you want to light these strengths on fire?
Sarah, let's light it up!
Mr. Bill Dipple, we're here again today. How you doing?
I am good, feeling great, having a good morning. I'm finally up, moving, ready, feeling energetic today. So I've had a couple people tell me that my voice is really good on podcasting. So my head's a little big today. My head is, I'm just saying, our last guest brought that up for a second. And I've had a couple I never think of it that way, but I think it's kind of funny. So
people tell me all the time too.
No,
not that my voice is good, that your voice is good. People are always like, that Bill's got a real good voice. And then they're like, you're funny.
You're fun. Sarah, I love your voice. And the fact that we do this together and how we do it, I absolutely love it. But every time someone wants to tell me I have a good voice, then you go ahead and email me at bill@billdipple.com and just let my head
email him. Drop the comments below this video or this podcast, please. You can write it in your 5-star review. Someone the other day, one of my friends, I said, listen, you don't even have to listen to the podcast, but if you could subscribe, write a review, that would be great. And then she was like, why? Like, what? I'm just wondering, what does that do? And I was like, that's just what everybody on podcasts says.
Please just do it. Whatever it is, please just make it happen.
I was like, we don't have any advertisers. This is a self-supported show, so I'm not totally sure why, but it probably makes a difference. So if you could just do it, that would be great. So to all of you listeners out there, let us do that.
Yes.
I have a question for you.
Hit me. I am absolutely. By the way, regular listeners, some point I'm going to ask Sarah a surprising question. It will happen. But I am always excited when I get a good question. So hit me. I'm ready.
I know. I'm sorry. I don't even give you the opportunity to ask me a good question. I just shoot them at you.
It's coming.
Prepared.
I will be hitting you with some. So go ahead. I'm ready.
What's the weirdest food you've ever eaten, and would you eat it again?
Weirdest food I've ever eaten. Okay, so now that was just a bad meal. What is the weirdest? So I was super fortunate that in an earlier career, I was doing air quality engineering as a scientist moving around the globe. Mm-hmm. And I'm super fortunate. Spent some time in Antarctica, spent some time across Cairo and Egypt. And I would tell you that the Indian food in Egypt was phenomenal. It was amazing. Mm-hmm. But some of the street food that we had drivers taking us around Egypt to get us to where we're going and doing things. And we'd be like, hey, we're kind of hungry. And they'd pull over to this place is great. You're going to love it. And, some of the food that we ingested on that, nothing ever hit me wrong. Nothing bad happened, but there were times I was putting things in my mouth where I was like, I don't want to know.
Do you remember what any of it was?
So there was a meal. When you go to this place, they have this huge glass front on it, and it looks amazing. I believe it's called koshery. And it has beans and lentils and rice, and it's all stratified in this glass front. And then they take this huge bowl and just scoop the stratification out. And then they have sauces on the table, so you can imagine some of the spice hey, you want it spicy? This will destroy you, right? And so we would put some of that on. That was amazing. Every time we had the chance to get it, we would do it. On the flip side of that, there were times we would get shawarma and try different parts that I'm not certain what was in the shawarma, but we're here. We're going to give it a try. I went to a burrito place in Mexico City doing air quality there. The place was called Mr. Burrito. It was a little itty bitty stand that rolled away, one of those carts. And their burritos were, and it was unbelievable, but he didn't speak enough English and I didn't know what to ask, right? He sold de cabeza, right? Head meat stuff. He sold all of that. I never ordered it, but I don't think a lot of it was separated in the, so I would say through random moments, I have tried some stuff that I wouldn't normally go to. Yeah. And it's always worked really well for me. The only time I've ever gotten a food allergy or food poisoning or sickness was from a burger in the United States. So, and it was a miserable, horrifying experience. So yeah. How about you? Any special foods? Anything that you've thrown in?
Similar to you, I did a study abroad trip in China when I was in graduate school, studying family systems and education systems. And I was really nervous about the food before going. So I packed my suitcase with Cliff Bars and all sorts of protein things in case I would get sick or wouldn't like the food. I liked the food so much. In fact, I want to go back to China to eat the food. I'm always looking for authentic Chinese food, which is very hard to find in Lincoln, Nebraska. But I did eat a cicada while I was there. 2, actually. Fried cicada. I'm a very much win in Rome person. And we went into the place, and very much like you're describing in India, the markets, I mean, you just walk around and it is live scorpion on sticks and things, octopus, all these things that are just displayed out. And you're like, okay, I didn't eat anything there, but at a restaurant, there was a bunch of stuff. And they said, do you want to try the cicada? And I said, I'm going to do it. And then I did too for some reason, because sometimes, I get that mode. And wow. I'm proud that I did it. Would I do it again? It depends who I'm with. If you just brought it to my house right now, probably not. If you gave me a group of people who I was trying to win over, probably.
Probably. You try to do it. I get it. Well, I would also say the Chinese food in Mexico was unbelievably good. But I do think part of the reason is there's not a lot of oversight from the Mexican government as far as what goes into the food. So, I think there's a lot of blending of flavors that I'm not certain I'm completely wanting. Right. Exactly, Kelly. Gretchen, thank you very much. Yes. I would say that is probably fair. There's a restaurant in town I go to that does, oh man, I wonder if we're going to upset some listeners here. They do fried baby octopus. And as an hors d'oeuvre, oh God, I love it. It's so good. I
really
tried it once with a group of people, and I thought I'll just give it a try. And they do it, obviously in garlic butter and everything else. It is phenomenal. But I haven't done it in years. But when I do go to that restaurant, it is something I
you just reminded me. I have had octopus in Italy. Did not like it. Definitely wasn't fried, but I don't know that would make it better. And also, what is the difference between a baby octopus and a regular octopus, or just like a small version of an octopus?
Yeah, it's
the
just
size, but I just mean, like, does it impact the flavor if it's a newbie?
I'm not. I think it literally was written on the menu that way just to make you feel bad.
Yeah. Not always the best marketing strategy.
They're intelligent animals. I know.
I'm not
going to eat a baby octopus.
I had to try it, and then I liked it. So when it's a restaurant I like to.
Gretchen, I don't know what's worse, trying it and not liking it, or trying it and liking it.
Why did I do this, right? Gretchen, do you know the restaurant I'm referring to in town?
I don't. And I'm not going, so it's okay.
It's all right. It's actually a place. I'm based in Reno, Nevada, and our guest today is also in Reno, Nevada, someone I've worked with in time. So a small shout out to Lulu's down on Virginia Street. Lulu's is a fairly high-end pretty nice getaway spot, and they did have this for years. I haven't been there in quite some time, so I don't know if it's still a menu item. I may have overstated it, and people are going to run to Lulu's and be like, "I need to try it," and they're going to be like, "We haven't done that forever." So
yeah, many people say Lulu's is one of the best is the best restaurant in town.
Mm-hmm. I've always loved it. I have always loved it. I don't know if it was so good. I think I'd go more frequently, but it's also expensive, Sarah. So, yeah.
Well, maybe Lulu's will hear this episode and they'll comp one of your meals so you can come back on the pod and keep talking about them.
That's right. Hey, well, I have a chance. I'm going to pop. Yeah, sponsorship. Yeah. I'm going to pop in here because I want to tell you my weird food.
Oh, I'm excited, Gretchen.
And I didn't have to go anywhere for that weird food story. You asked the question, Sarah, and I thought, what is my answer? I grew up in the Snake River Canyon of Idaho. And I spent a lot of time in that Snake River because I was right on the river. So when you're a farm kid far from town, the only way you entertain yourself is by going out to find some dirt to dig in. And we dug up river clams once and had a whole day of popping those sandy things open, and were pretty curious about what they'd taste like. So my parents cooked them.
Oh.
And I'll just say, don't recommend.
Wow.
Especially the Snake River in the 70s, like pre-EPA river love.
Yeah.
I've done river crayfish, but I don't know that I've ever done river, like out of our local river, the Truckee.
They made river clams.
I was unaware.
They're just like these giant things that are.
No, don't do it, huh?
Don't do it. Full of dirt.
Oh, wow. I've done crayfish out of Truckee River here in Reno, Nevada when I was younger. Don't recommend that necessarily, right? They're not that impressive. But like Sarah, I'm backing her on this. I didn't even know there was such a thing as a river clam.
Oh, for sure.
Big, huh? And they're big.
They're big.
They're big. And full of sand,
dirt. They're sandy and dirty. So awesome. Well, that leads us right into we don't want the mystery voice to be hanging out in the background any longer. So today, let's break into our guest. Let's talk about who we have on the show today. Very excited. Someone I've got to work with for quite some time, and I know I've told Sarah this, but for our listeners, somebody that was instrumental in helping my coaching career very early on, was somebody that even before I put up the shingle and hung the license, like knocked down my door and said, "Hey, I love this stuff. Can you come do it with us now that I know you're a certified coach?" And as we talked about pre-show, Gretchen lives right up the street from me, so I can't get away from her. She comes by and she wants to talk strengths frequently, right by going by the door. And who am I to say no? As somebody that knows that she lives it, loves it, and uses it frequently. So I love that. Gretchen, you want to talk a little bit about who you are and what you do?
So sure. Gretchen Kelley Bietz. I am the founder, CEO of a nonprofit consultancy called the Blueprint Collaborative that you can find at theblueprintcollaborative.com, and you have to type the
Blueprint Collaborative.
Put the in it. Got it. Yeah.
And I, along with my amazing compatriots, we help nonprofits grow and improve their fundraising primarily, but we do that through capacity building. And so nonprofit capacity is a passion of mine and a major issue for all of the nonprofits that you know and love and I know and love.
Yeah. I do a lot of coaching with nonprofits. Some of that has been because I've been able to work with Gretchen, and she's aimed us at a couple of different groups as well. One of Gretchen's ex-employees still coaches with us and has moved on to a different a different nonprofit and is one of my all-time favorite clients. So there's a lot of cross threads here. Gretchen, I'm just curious, can you talk to me for a second about how did the Blueprint Collaborative come about? Like what was the path to make that happen for you? And before you jump into that, I want to talk about your strengths for a second. Let's let our listeners know what your strengths are, and then as you're explaining how you got to the Blueprint Collaborative, those will become pretty evident. So do you want me to list them off?
Go for it.
Here we go. All right. So number 1 for Gretchen is positivity. Number 2 is strategic. Number 3 is input. Number 4 is woo, as we know, the best theme. Number 5 is arranger. Number 6 is communication. Number 7, empathy. Number 8, maximizer. Number 9, ideation. And number 10, connectedness. So perfect. How did the Blueprint Collaborative come about, and what was the path?
So I have been in fundraising since I was in college, which is a long time ago now. I was very fortunate to meet a woman, Liz Madison, if she's listening, offered me an internship when I was a sophomore. I think I was a sophomore. And at the University of Idaho, go Vandals. And you always have to.
Yeah, no, we just upped our Idaho listenership by like 80% right there. That just happened. So yes, go.
Right.
By the way, my father was a Vandal. So from Idaho. So he's going to listen to this and be like, oh yes, somebody gave it a shout out. So go on.
The best ones are.
Yeah.
So I got an internship when I was in college and have been in fundraising ever since. But I also come from a family-based business. And so entrepreneurship has always been a core part of my being. And I never could figure out, or I didn't know how I was going to be able to figure out how to bring fundraising together with business ownership. Moved to Reno when I was in my mid-20s to work at the university. Go Wolfpack.
Yes, go Wolfpack.
University of Nevada.
Reno. Go Blue. Go Wolfpack. Yes,
right.
Nice.
Little shout out there. And after I left the university, I had the good fortune of being the first employee at our Terry Lee Wells Nevada Discovery Museum. And it was a startup nonprofit that wanted to build a discovery museum, which is a hybrid between a science museum and a children's museum. Mm-hmm. And that was right before the recession when I got hired, and had no business raising capital campaign money. Capital campaigns are when you need to raise a lot of money for what usually end up being small nonprofits so that they can build or buy a piece of property or a facility to improve or expand their population served. And this nonprofit didn't exist, and Reno had never done a really good job of investing in its own children. So we were a brand new idea, and it was a bumpy ride, but over 6.5 years, we raised almost $22 million, $20 million to open and start the museum. We renovated the former city hall, and it is a beautiful, amazing place that has served hundreds of thousands of families now, which is amazing. And I learned basically a PhD's worth in capital campaign fundraising over those years, and a lot about leadership and a lot about tenacity. And it was very challenging, but I also was able to earn a reputation in that time that meant that I could probably start to craft what the Blueprint Collaborative was going to become. Mm-hmm. From there, I went to our regional food bank. The Food Bank of Northern Nevada is this incredible organization that's serving about 130,000 individuals a month across 93,000 square miles. All of Northern Nevada is served by the Food Bank of Northern Nevada. And in that role, I was able to learn a lot about the underserved of our community. And it really was a very nice pairing for me to have a better broad view of our community. And After I'd been there for 2.5 years, my husband had changed jobs a few times, but got a great stable job and had health insurance. And I saw my little window to hop out of working for other people and leapt, kind of literally ran out.
Didn't even question it, just went, huh?
Yep, I went. And it's been this incredible evolution. I was by myself for quite a while, but started running into capacity issues. There were projects that I really wanted to take on that I couldn't without help. And one October in 2017, I ran into like 5 different women in 5 different parking lots. And they all had related experience or interest or passions. And we started meeting on Mondays at noon. And to this day, our team meetings are still Mondays at noon.
Oh my gosh.
And the team has evolved, but over that time, we became a whole thing. And the name is very appropriate because we help nonprofits craft a blueprint, but we do it very collaboratively. We've had a lot of amazing women, almost entirely women, come in, and some have gone out of our organization and brought their incredible talents and skills and brain and have gone on to do other amazing things. And then fortunately for me, the best folks have stuck around. And so my business partner, Rachel Tatro, and then Amelia and Mackenzie, we've wrestled it out and we make an exceptional team. And I feel so lucky every day.
Wow.
Nice.
So
Nice.
Gretchen, I just have to thank you for sharing your experience. I love hearing career trajectories and like from the beginning, and this idea about entrepreneurship that sounds like was living in the back of your mind from your family experience, but this passion for nonprofits and how do these things come together and the way that you're able to make it work. It's just really cool. And then to see you kind of living out the dream now. And I can just like feel the energy and passion for the work you do from you.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't let me oversell it. Being a small business owner is not a piece of cake, but.
Oh, I understand that deeply.
Oh, we're aware. Oh, we are aware. Right. Yeah.
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 Bill, I regularly stop at Bill's house and weep on his shoulder.
What is happening today? And I love, you mentioned Rachel, Amelia. I've been fortunate to work with their whole team a couple of different times to talk about coaching and strengths and leading in. And Gretchen, thank you so much for talking about how you got to where you are. As I hear that, right, I hear that woo talking about how do I get people moving and moving forward, that maximizer, how do I take this to that next level, but also your strategy themes, that strategic and input is like, I jumped, right? So I know because I've worked with you and had some time, I know you've bonded to this assessment in a really deep way. Is there a strength that you think really defines or leads, or is it a combination of ones that you think are really leading the charge for you?
Well, historically, I think woo. So let me start by telling you that I've actually taken the strengths test 3 times. And I took the strengths test the first time in, I think, 1997. And woo was first when I took it. And I worked in the alumni office, and it makes sense for there to be a woo working in an alumni office.
Sure.
And I really grabbed on to that strength. Absolutely. Like, I would make the best receptionist in the history of receptionists. I would. I'd be really good at it.
I believe it. I believe you would.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'd be good at the desk of a dry cleaner. I could do that job because I'm good at making friends.
Yeah.
And then I'm good at making friends with the next person who comes in the door. So woo has always been a big part of kind of who I am. But, as we age and as we learn things, I feel like both input and strategic are vitally important to my work. I do let input get a little out of control once in a while. It becomes a little problematic because especially for the professionals around me, because I ask a lot of them. And that can come across as overbearing and maybe makes them feel like I don't trust them. And so I really I've worked on that. So Bill, I do think it would be interesting though to talk about the story of how positivity came to be.
I was not going to bring it up. I was maybe lead you there and let you decide. As a long-term coach for you, I know you've taken it multiple times. And full disclosure, Gretchen, I may have actually told this story on a previous podcast. I didn't mention any names. But I did point out that there was a funny moment regarding positivity in one of my clients. Go ahead. Let's hear your end of it. And then I'll chip in when we need to. So,
well, I took an updated test. I don't remember when it was. And positivity came first. And in all of my strengths, I don't think that positivity had even been in my top 5. When my son took the test, and this has been several years ago, positivity was his number 1. And I was a little flummoxed. I was like, huh. And so that tells me right off the bat, I didn't understand it very well at that time. And when positivity came first, and then I marched over to Bill's house and slammed the report on his table and said, "This is a bunch of bullshit."
True story.
Like,
True story.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
And he looked at me with an eyebrow raised, and he was like,
Have you? So,
and let me tell you why.
Yeah. And then we got down together and we read it and we started breaking it down. By the way, you took that assessment with positivity on April 20th, 2021. So I can see part of our assessment lineage here. And not only was it me, but surrounding you with some of those amazing women that you talked about in your company, and with my wife and a fellow co-coach, as we were all sitting around talking about positivity and how you felt that isn't a link to me. I don't bond with positivity. The responses from all of the people in the room were, have you ever talked to yourself? Do you know how positive you are when things are happening, or how that's a beacon of light for us in the company? Because no matter what's happening, there's a positivity component to it. And it was for me, I don't want to call it schadenfreude or watching you get defeated, but I saw your shoulders drop over time because, yeah, I guess I do that. And yes, I think I am positive in those circumstances. And hearing it from a group of people, I think, really resonated with getting you to understand really what it says about you. And those times that maybe from a coaching point of view, what we point out is when we're so close to the fire, when we are right there living it, we don't see it. Right? Exactly, Sarah. We don't see it in ourselves, but so many people around us see it and understand it. And so how do we view strengths? Through our own vision, and how do the people around us see it? So how's your journey with positivity been since this?
Well, can I ask a question before you answer that, Gretchen?
Yeah.
Tell us what you think positivity was. When you saw it, and you obviously with you and your son had this idea of what it meant, and then you had to go on a journey of like, what does it actually mean, and does it show up for me? Like, what did you think it was, and why did you think it didn't align with you?
Well, I think that I felt like it meant that I was always responding to the world with rose-colored glasses. And I don't feel that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And your write-up does not echo that, correct?
Right.
Yeah. Go on. So.
But what it does, what I have been more aware of is that I now can be more aware when people who don't have positivity rub up against me. Don't you call that splashing?
We do. So how heavy from our coaching when we've worked together, one of the analogies we use is, your strengths can be like you're diving in a pool with people. Are you going to cannonball them and splash them heavily with what that strength is, or are you going to slide on in and just barely splash a little on them? And that's one of the analogies we do use to say, be aware of how this might be coming across when other people are seeing that. So good on you. Look,
that. I've never heard that one. Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah. See, every now and then, Gretchen, people learn stuff on this. Now Sarah got a good piece. We get to coach around these things.
That?
I hear so many good things from Sarah all the time that I steal and put in my coaching. So Gretchen, and do you feel that now that you've researched it and looked at it and you understand what the positivity write-up in yours is, do you feel it's something a little more authentically you?
I would say a little.
Okay.
It's still, and I'll just say the last, it was COVID time, and the last couple years have been.
Yeah.
And so some ups and downs, and it can be tough to be a positivity person when things are rocky, because you really like things to be on the upward trajectory all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
I always describe, I also have positivity number one, and I will share the secret with you and maybe the audience that I tested once. I still use my original results from 2011, but I retested once about a year and a half ago just to see where we shook out, because it'd been 10 years. And I thought positivity probably is going to drop out of my top 10 or be low. By golly, right up there in the top again. And I was like, how does this keep happening? And I can see the positivity in me, but I have been on a personal journey with positivity as well, and working with clients. The way I now describe positivity to people, and I'm always telling people, listen, I know that this isn't going to sound very professional, but positivity is a vibe. And people who have high positivity, when you meet them, you feel the vibe, and the people who don't, you don't feel it. And it's not good or bad. It doesn't mean that the people who have it, it's good. And it's not just optimist 100% of the time, right? It is a vibe. And it doesn't mean someone with low positivity can't be optimistic or happy-go-lucky or any of those things. It is just this kind of higher vibration energy they bring. One of the examples I'll give, and I'll be curious, Gretchen, if this resonates with you. What I tell people is, if I was driving to work and my car got a flat tire, that I would be so inconvenienced by that, right? I'd have to call someone or figure out what to do. It's not like that would be easy for me to figure out. But when I got to the office, I would be like, you guys, I got a flat tire on the way here, and oh my gosh, I need to tell you this story. Like, it would come in with people. Now I also have high communication, so I would just be like, I got to unload all of this. But it would be, even though it would be so inconvenient for me, I would do it with like this upbeat energy. Whereas we all know people that if they got a flat tire, when they got to the office, they'd be like, don't talk to me.
Yeah.
I am having a bad day, and I just am going to my office. I'm shutting the door and leave me the fuck alone. Sorry, I dropped I'm on the podcast.
I gotta check the mark that says explicit on this one. Oh no!
All right, well we better go ham. Let's just make have all the naughty words in it.
Gretchen dropped one a little earlier, so that's I thought we could get by with one, but two. Now it's over. If the hosts are doing it, so yeah.
So,
anyways, when I describe it to you in that way, Gretchen, does that resonate with you? Do you connect with it, or?
Oh yeah. Yeah, so my first thought is if I had to get a flat tire, I might actually be kind of excited about using Woo with a AAA driver.
Yes.
That I might, is there going to be somebody who pulls up behind me who's going to offer to help, and I'm going to woo the hell out of them?
Mm-hmm.
It's, so good. So good. And that's such a good question, Sarah. When you look at positivity through Gretchen's lens, I'll pull this back a little bit. We did a really large remodel here at the house, and Gretchen got to walk by regularly and laugh at all of the craziness that was going on at the house while she was out walking her dogs. And we one thing my wife and I really love is Japanese maples. We think they're amazing, and they're a little finicky in the Reno area. You got to put them in a normal spot. Gretchen, your family owns a very different business than the Blueprint Collaborative. Before I continue this story, do you want to talk about what that business is?
Yes, I sure do. Any opportunity to talk about the orchard, I'm going to take it.
Yes.
So I had the good fortune of growing up in the Snake River Canyon on the property that my great-grandfather homesteaded in 1908 under the Carey Act. And that business now is called Kelleys Canyon Orchard. When it was homesteaded, it was Gorley Orchard. And we are a century farm in Idaho, so owned by the same family for over 100 years. And my business partner and sister and the primary manager of Kelleys Canyon Orchard just does incredible work. And the place is fantastic and beautiful, and you can go stay. There are 2 Airbnbs in the orchard.
Writing this down.
That's
Sarah's
right.
in. Yep, Sarah's writing it down. Do you, if people were looking for, and by the way, I've stayed at your Airbnb. I've been to the orchard. If people were looking it up, say the name one more time to look it up for the Airbnb for people that might want to experience it?
Oh, yes. Kelleys, and that's Kelleys Canyon Orchard.
Okay.
And you can find orchard stays right from the website. So you can go find a place to stay. And there are 2 homes now available. My dad's house, which is the house I grew up in and graduated from high school in. And then my grandma's adorable little kit house that my great-grandfather and grandfather built after my grandfather got back from World War II.
Yeah.
And is his experience in Guadalcanal. Built from a kit with all the cute little cutouts and built-ins and pink bathroom and robin egg blue kitchen, and it's adorable.
If you look at Sarah right now, she's booking right now. You can see it. She's booking
on the
it
website.
as she goes. She's all in. So I brought this up because your mother comes to town periodically and stays with you. And as we were wrapping up our construction here, and we had put 2 Japanese maples on my property, one of them was completely out of control. And Gretchen's positivity, along with her mother, and feeling like where she steps into that, was totally on fire one day, along with the woo, along with the maximizer. And I bring those up because whenever I have a plant question, I ask an orchard owner, right? What am I doing wrong here? What is this plant doing? Why is this failing? And Gretchen always knows exactly why it's failing, what's going on. And one day she brought her mom by, and the woo kicked in and introduced me to mom, and laughing and having a good time. And Gretchen and mom looked at my Japanese maple and said, wow, well, it's kind of growing toward the eave, and, it's a new planting, but you really should trim it in these ways. And I was like, well, I don't know how to trim a I want it to be perfect, and I'm afraid and I didn't even get that far out of the sentence. And Gretchen's positivity and her mom, they looked at each other and said, well, get the clippers. We're on this. And suddenly I had 2 sets of clippers, one of which mom poo-pooed. She's like, no, these are the wrong kind. You can't use these. And Gretchen's positivity was just, I'm going to trim it right here. And it was so funny. Gretchen put the hand trimmers up to one spot, and her mom went,
Right.
Her mom shook her head, just went, not there. And Gretchen's
Susan has a little bit of competition.
I think so. I think it's true. But the ability to have somebody to walk by, introduce me to mom, hey, in that positive nature, I'm going to help you with a problem you have right now. And not only that, we're not just going to give you a recommendation. We're going to dive all in. We're going to grab some clippers. We're going to make this happen. And then they looked at the one in back, and they gave us information on a bunch of other plants. So again, when I look at your positivity and I look at the other themes around that, there are so many ways when I when I listen to you say, I don't know that positivity fits me, it just makes me smile, because you tend to be such a positive, good force for the women at the Blueprint Collaborative, for the customers that I know you work with, and for me, just as a neighbor. That positivity radiates through.
Thank you, Bill. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think something that you said earlier about positivity, we're talking about like the pandemic and these hard times. I often try to remind people that positivity is a relationship building theme, which means it's turned on with people. So there's two ways to think about this, right? Like, my positivity does not show up if I spend all my time alone. I have those relationship building themes, right? And so I can get like in my own head, negative Nelly. I can get like down into the pit of darkness, and it's other people that bring me out of it. I have to get myself in front of other people like you, positivity, woo. Those need to eat. They don't eat in your house alone. Also, I have found when people who have high positivity are kind of swallowed up with people or circumstances that are really negative, it doesn't let the positivity eat either. Like, you need other positivity to kind of thrive on. That's why when you find those people who kind of feed into your positivity, it's so fun. The energy, the enthusiasm, the ideas probably for you with your ideation, it's like zzz, right? We can go up. But if we have the opposite of that, where someone is just like, bound, bad news, bound, bad attitude, bam, right? Negativity. That can, we can rebound a little with our positivity, but too much of that, it's just like,
Yeah.
and it just can kind of wipe you out to where you don't have that positivity. It's not showing up the way that we're used to. So it can feel really defeating if we're constantly around that kind of tough, negative environment.
Mm-hmm. I have definitely had that experience. Well, and one of the things about positivity is that we like a lot of, and input especially, we like a lot of news. And it is not fun to listen to the news. So I've really had to curb my news intake.
Yes.
And that has been a major factor. I do have to say, I have the great benefit of working with an amazing Mackenzie Mendoza. So one of my team members, and you could, I don't know what her strengths are, and you don't have to out her, but she is
I'll out her right now. Are you kidding? No, sorry, go on.
She's my positivity partner. That Mackenzie just makes you feel so good. And she's very, my 54-year-old brain is not going to help me with the words that are missing, but she just is a person who adds in and
Yes. Yeah. So I'm going to out her just because I can, right? Mackenzie leads with communication, individualization, empathy, woo, and number 5, positivity.
Yeah.
Right. So when you look at that dynamic partnership and you're looking, Sarah, so smart on you to point out when you're not surrounded by having that positivity energy to spin up together, right? It can be a little defeating. It can be a little tough. And you spotted that in Mackenzie, and you've stepped right into that. And that is a fuel that gets you to that next level with the Blueprint Collaborative.
Yeah, she's amazing. The other thing I'd say, though, too, is that you don't want a whole pile of people who are the same. And so, I have the good fortune of having lots of other strengths inside this team.
Yeah.
And my partner, especially, she's got some very powerful strengths. So we are very good yin and yang together. And we relied heavily on Bill's coaching through the building of our partnership, and it has been hugely beneficial.
Yeah. Well, you kind of touched on it, and I was thinking about that's a really good spot to go. So a shout out to Rachel, who I'm absolutely positive will be hearing this at some point because she's going to listen to your podcast, right? She wants to know what's being said. So Rachel, as always, I send much love to Mackenzie and Amelia. I get to work with all of you. But You're absolutely right. Rachel is very different than you from a strengths-based point of view. And we've done a lot of coaching around that dynamic partnership. Can you touch on that for a minute? Like, what strengths do you lean into? How does that relationship work back and forth? Like, where do you find the benefit?
Oh man, we see the world differently. And I think we have a lot of trust, and we've worked really hard to build this relationship. She teased me when we first got into this, and I kind of basically took us into therapy with Bill primarily to get us into a good spot so we could really understand each other, where we were coming from and what kind of strengths we could each bring, and then where to give each other space. And I think it has served us really well. We're very strong, powerful.
Yes.
Team.
Yes. And just for her and for you, Rachel has competition, command, and self-assurance.
Right.
Wow.
In her top seven.
Right. Which is code for badassery. Like, she's like,
love seeing it in a woman. Love seeing those in a woman.
I know. And it's actually really unusual, isn't it?
It is.
Yes.
It is rare. She's a bit of a unicorn in that way. We pointed that out during the coaching. Can you touch on where that badassery is something you lean into? Like how that dynamic partnership works for command and competition and self-assurance, where that works for you?
Well, so competition, I can kind of let the turkeys get me down if we don't win, or if I get intimidated by something or wonder if we should even like move forward. Mm-hmm. She's like, absolutely. And we're going to kill it. So she does that. And she also has this amazing ability to just get immediately right to the heart of the issue. Mm-hmm. She sees things very clearly, where it might be that input that clouds me up. Mm-hmm. And then I think we both rely on the fact that we share strategic. We both are good strategic thinkers, and we can bring that to bear for our clients. Mm-hmm. And I think that has been one of our superpowers, is to really combine our strategic strengths and put them to work for our clients.
Yeah. Strategic is high for both of them as well. So in those places where those differences help you align and where you lean into each other, now we have some similarity from that strategic point of view. That's where the bridge gets built. That's where the bonding happens. That's where, hey, and same with the positivity for McKinsey. How can we lean into that and build that bridge together? How can we engage each other and communicate in a different way? You and I and Rachel worked on communication together with your team just while you guys were looking at a partnership and how do we make that happen. And communication is such a important part of being a partner in a company like this, but it's also a much easier discussion to have when you're both strengths aware. Mm-hmm. Yeah. When you know how to lean into that. And I love that we worked on that together, and that turned into a really valuable aha moment for a couple of you. And we absolutely just loved it. So
yeah, it's been very
you can hear your strengths awareness, and I love hearing the powerful partnerships that you have on your team through the strengths lens, right? Being able to see those strengths you have in common and how that, like Bill says, builds the bridge, and then seeing the strengths that you don't have in common as an asset. Because without that strengths awareness, it's easy to think the worst of people, or like, why are you pushing so hard, But when you know, oh, she's driven by this competition, this self-assurance, this command, right? You can balance each other out, which I bet just helps, right? That a little bit of friction helps you succeed, because you need a little bit of that conflict of, here's how I see it, here's how you see it. Now let's meet somewhere in the middle to get to the greatness.
Yeah. Yeah. And all four of us, I think, bring that for each other. And it's been very powerful.
Yeah.
For all of that command, I know there's a lot that Rachel doesn't say. And I think that that's because, and she's good at kind of doling it out gently.
Yes.
Because I think she's strengths aware.
Yeah.
Blessings
Because
upon
we've
her.
talked in other episodes about how the self-assurance, command, they can kind of have this double-edged sword. They're very powerful tools to wield, but not used right can come off a little bit harsh for people, a little sharp. And so the people who have those, again, they're a little bit more rare to see in people's top. So when they do have them, it's like with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
You can use these, but you got to keep them in check because they can come off strong if those who don't have them don't use them in a way that but they can't bury them. I think I said in the last episode, we can't put them in a box because then we don't get the best of those people either. We got to bring them out of the box, bring them to the playground, let them play, but they don't get to be bullies out there either.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's good at
So
that.
good. So
Yeah,
good.
it sounds like it.
Yeah. And the question, one of the questions we ask here regularly, because we want to hear the other side of this. We're talking about how your dynamic partnership works really well with all three of your team members and how your positivity maybe shines through in a way that's different for you, but you see it. Can you touch on for a minute the dumpster fire component? The question is, when does one of your strengths become a dumpster fire for you? When does it get in your way or do something where you're like, all right, I need to think about this. I need to change a direction or change what theme is in the driver's seat.
Yeah, I do think that would probably be input. Input when I feel like if I'm feeling a lack of confidence,
Yep.
then I need a lot of information. And if I'm feeling like, and my confidence is low, I take total responsibility for this. And because if my confidence is low and people are out in front of me making decisions that I'm not necessarily aware of, I have a tendency to get a little bit controlling. And that doesn't, I have three incredible professionals, each of them with their own amazing nonprofit and development experience that I don't want to hamper in any way. So I've got to let that question asking, overly controlling part of me step back.
Yeah.
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 I also wonder if there's a little bit of your maximizer mixed in there, right?
Oh, I struggle with maximizer with my kids. And so I really, that has helped me build an awareness around it. Like, what else could they be doing? What else should they like? And that has probably driven some of that maximizer is probably built in a little anxiety for those poor kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I can hear you. Correct me if I'm wrong. Your input is collecting information because you want to put out you want to know and have the best information. So you're asking questions, collecting, and that maximizer is like, we have to do this. We need to know more because it can be better. I can do this better. We need to make it better. We need a better outcome, whether that's at work or for the kids. Let's input, collect, and build. And then at the detriment potentially of the relationships because they're out there saying, hey, why don't you trust me?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
Exactly right. I'm reading a new book called A Perfectionist Guide to Losing Control. And I should know the author and I don't, and I apologize. But I think it was written for somebody with my exact strengths profile.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I feel a little personally attacked right now by the title.
No. That means you need to get the book too. Sarah,
Sorry, I was doing a tad of research here just to do the shout out. It's by Catherine Morgan. Perfectionist Guide to Losing Control. So, all right. Interesting.
I have some clients I could probably recommend this to too. Okay.
I think we absolutely could. That would be great.
Recommend.
So good. All right. So we've hit you with some tougher questions. Let's hit you with an easy one. You ready for this one?
Why am I unsure that this is going to be easy?
I don't. How tough could it be, right? Would we ever hit you with a hard one? I don't think so. So,
lay it on me.
Well, our question is going to be, since we talked about food today, and we had a little food beginning, and we know you have an orchard, we've probably gone ahead and done this one just for you. So your strengths have to cook a 5-course meal in an hour for Gordon Ramsay. Can you tell us what's on that menu?
Are we talking food or are we talking strengths?
Both.
So you're cooking a 5-course meal, right? What's going to be on that menu, and what strength are you going to do to get it there? Let's look at it that way.
Well, input and arranger means that I'm going to probably do a quick Google search. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to want some information. I want to know what my ingredients are. Mm-hmm. Positivity means positivity is going to be out front the whole time because we're going to get it done for sure. Mm-hmm. I don't know where this is in my strengths profile, but it's probably not going to be done on time because I love to cook, but it takes a long time.
There's a lot of simmering going on.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it'll be perfect. It will be perfect.
It is going to be perfect. Exactly.
Yes.
So I'm going to use all of them. I might have some empathy, so that might mean that I'll serve some cheese along the way so they don't get too hungry. I am not, Gordon Ramsay and I are not going to get along because if he yells at me, I am out.
My positivity. Thank you.
Yeah. My positivity and Gordon Ramsay's not positivity.
Yeah, that positivity is going to get stepped on pretty hard if Gordon goes off, right? There'll be a moment.
Yeah.
So
and your woo would probably be so wounded if he were to yell at you and be like, "Oh, I don't like this." Be like, "Excuse me."
No. Yeah, but my woo might win the day. I can bring the woo.
I think you will.
I think
you bring it. Yes, I love it.
I can see
good.
Tempering his expectations. The reason the meal's not on time is because you spent time at the front talking to him. You were like, "Hey, I gotta explain. I want to get to know you." You're like your empathy to feel him out, your woo to win him over. So then when the meal's late, he doesn't care because he knows you got started a little late, but he's all endeared to you already because you just, you were strengthsing all over him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She knows me so well already.
She does. She knows all of us so well.
I mean, the food is pretty good, I will say. So the food will be yummy at the end. You just have to wait for it.
Oh, it's always good. Gretchen's always cooking, whipping something up when we swing by, and you know.
I got it, you guys. Gordon Ramsay will start helping Gretchen. It starts as her cooking for him, but then she wins him over to where he's like, "Oh, Gretchen, let me show you. You do that, I'll do this," and then all of a sudden they're just like clabbing in the kitchen. The meal's never done. They're just cooking and eating and coming up with new ideas.
So good.
That would be like the dream come true right there. That'd be so much fun.
So the positivity, the woo, right? It's all made. Now you're sitting down having a great meal. Yep. Gordon's feeling like he's, all right. Yeah.
You guys just
I think we've sussed this one.
We did.
Yep. You're tight.
He's going to be back next week when he flies across the country again.
Yeah, he'll be swinging by just to check it out. So, so good, Gretchen. All right. Well, Gretchen, thank you so much. I get to spend so much time with you and work with some of the stuff that you do, but it's so generous of you to come out and talk to our listeners and talk about the things that you do and how you use your strengths with the small team that you have, but how impactful it is with that small team and the really great work that you do in the Reno area, because nonprofits need that sort of help, but also what the family business is. I've been to the orchard. I would tell you, I have been a beneficiary of Gretchen's family owning an orchard many times, because there will be hey, swing by my house and pick up several bags of fruit that we pulled from the orchard, and we're doling it out. Come have some, or purchase at a severely reduced rate and come and grab as much fruit as you can take home. So all of those things make me love you more and more, Gretchen. And then hearing how you're using strengths tells me that my love for you is not misplaced.
Thank you, Bill. I appreciate that. And you always pump up my positivity. You're good for that. If I need a little boost, I can walk around the corner.
Right. Sarah's the hype woman, but I am a good hype guy. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I like the hype, right, Sarah? Sarah, do I hype you enough? Yeah. Do you get enough hype out of me?
You hype me all the time. I love it. Yes,
Right.
I feed off of it. So I love that. And Gretchen, it was just a pleasure and a delight to get to know you and to hear how strengths aware you are and how your team gets to use that and how Bill's been able to really help guide all of you through that journey. And I just think the work you're doing in the world is so important and the passion you have for it is so clear. And I just also seems super cool. So if you're ever looking for another friend, always willing to be wooed.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I'll call you.
Do I have to go to a parking lot for you to befriend me? Because I feel like there was a story about meeting all the women in the parking lots.
There was some parking lot action. I knew all those women before. Now I know you too. If I saw you in a parking lot,
That's
I would
right.
be able. We could.
Great.
Okay.
Now
You're a minute away,
though. Yeah.
I am a little further away. Yes.
Yeah. I'm out of client. Now Sarah's going to be coaching Gretchen. She'll be flying in. It's out again. It's all right.
We're going to be friends.
I get it.
No, we're going to be friends. You can keep her as a client. I'm looking for friends over here. Okay.
Got it. The friendship side, and especially friends with great homes in the Airbnb world, right? Out.
I know.
So, yes.
Kelleys Canyon Orchard.
Oh, I have it on my phone. Still pull. Don't worry about it.
Well, we're going to put it. We're going to put that in the show notes as well as the website link to this and some other goodies. So, if you're curious and you want to know that, then we will absolutely do that. So, I cannot thank you enough, Gretchen. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you,
and
Bill.
making this happen. And I always love working with you. I love chatting with you, checking in with you, seeing how the blueprint is doing. And I'll consider this a checkup for me.
Yeah, thank you. I always appreciate that about you. Sarah, it's just been a pleasure.
Yes. All right. Until next time, our friends, we'll see you later.
We'll see you soon. Bye. Thank you for joining us on Strengths on Fire. If today's conversation sparked something in you, be sure to subscribe, share, and leave a review. We're here bringing you fresh insights to fuel your growth and ignite your potential. Remember, your strengths are powerful, so let's keep the fire burning.
And if you're looking to transform your organization through strengths-based strategies and coaching, reach out to Sarah Collins, founder of Collins Collective, or Bill Dipple, founder of Bill Dipple Strengths Coaching. Connect with Sarah at wearecollinsco.com. Follow her on Instagram at SarahCoachCollins or email her at sarah@wearecollinsco.com, SARAH. You can reach Bill at BillDipple.com, Bill, DIPPEL.com, or on Instagram at BillDippleCoach, or email him at bill@BillDipple.com.
Please note the opinions, views, and interpretations of CliftonStrengths expressed in this podcast are solely those of the hosts and the guests. They have not been approved, sanctioned, or endorsed by Gallup in any way.
Until next time, keep your strengths on fire and let's light up what's possible together. Bye, Bill.
Bye, Sarah.